Here is how you can build a chatbot customized to your needs and for free. It will be able to answer questions related to your domain. Now give me 20 seconds to give you our plan for today. Here's what we're building. A chatbot that answers questions specifically about Python. We just have to feed it custom data related to Python. The stack is completely free. We're using Groq for the LLM, sentence transformers for turning text into vectors, Cosine Similarity to find the right context, and plain Python. I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll have a working chatbot and swapping out the Python data for anything else you want. First, we will start with data. You can see here I have my own data in JSON file. With this format, every entry has an ID and a content. Now we will transform the content into a vector of numbers. And why do this? Here are two reasons. This data is used to give the LLM a context on how it should answer the user. 2. The vectors are compared with the user's prompts to see how close the prompt is to our context so we can feed the model the right context. More on that later. How to get these vectors? We need a sentence transformer. I found this model on Hugging Face and we will use this text transformer to turn text into vector. To download this, type the following highlighted command on your command prompt. Now in Python, create a file called vector transformer where we will first import the sentence transformer library and the JSON library because I need to open my JSON file. Next, we create our model that we found on Hugging Face and we have the file path to our JSON. Next, we will open the file by specifying the path, the mode which is read, and the encoding. To fetch my data, I will use the load function from the JSON library. This will put all the entries in my JSON file inside the data variable, which I can iterate over it. Now I will create a simple context variable to store the content of each entry. Then I will transform that content into a vector using the encode function of our model and store it as a list. Then I will create a new entry in my JSON, call it embedding, that will have our vector, and I will append to the all entries list that stores the JSON entries. Now I have to create and open a new JSON file called vectors, and I will use it to store my JSON data with the embeddings. So I could use the dump function to store all the entries inside the vectors.json file. Now this code, you run it once and you'll obtain something like this. You can see that each entry has an embedding. Now why do we need this? Since once the user gives us their input, we will convert their input into a vector like this one. Then we will loop through all of these entries, apply cosine similarity to each embedding, and find out what is the most closest context to the user's prompt. We want to estimate how close the prompt is to a context. Now we create a file called prompt transformer. This will be used to convert the user prompt into a vector and compare it to all the embeddings we have in our dataset, and return the top 3 closest contexts. We start with our imports. If you don't have NumPy, make sure to install it using pip install NumPy. We will need one more time our sentence transformer, and we will need to load our JSON data which contains our embedding. Now what is cosine similarity? It is a metric used to measure how similar two vectors are, and it will give us a number between 0 and 1. Now this is a math concept. But for us, we just need to convert this formula into Python using NumPy, which is very simple. Let's start with the numerator. It is the dot product of two vectors. You can use np.dot function and give two vectors. For the denominator, you'll need to find the norm of each vector using np.linearalgebra.norm and multiply them together. And then just divide numerator and denominator, and this is how you get cosine similarity. Now let's develop the prompt to vector function. We will use our model to encode or transform the user prompt into a vector, and we will store it as a list. Now I'll create a similarities array to store all the similarities that I will have. Now I will iterate through my JSON data and store inside vector B the embeddings, which are the vectors of each entry. And I will find the cosine similarity of my vector, of the user's vector, and vector B, which I will append to the list of similarities as a tuple containing the similarity number and the content. I will then sort by descending order, and since I have a tuple as data not numbers, I am telling it for each tuple x, use the first element x0 as the sorting value because it is a number. And before we continue, let's print this list by calling the function and actually giving it a user prompt and run this file. You can see that we get a list with the first element with 0.7 similarity, and it is related to functions. You can see how my prompt is related to this context. Now we have also other similarities, but for our application, we only want to return the first 3 similarities. These similarities will be fed as context to our model. If you're enjoying so far, hit the like button and consider subscribing, because right now we're about to build the large language model. Now for the free LLM, we will use Groq. It has a free tier we can use, so create an account there and create an API key and you're good to go. Next we install Groq. You need to use pip install Groq and you're good to go. Now create a file called Python chatbot and first import Groq. Next, for simplicity, we will hardcode the API key, but it is always a good practice to store it inside a .env file and import it. But for the sake of this video, to keep it simple, I won't do it here, but I'll do a separate video for this. Now create the client variable. The client is responsible for making requests to the Groq service and give us the Groq response. Now we create a system prompt, and here's my system prompt. This is what Groq will always see each time the user gives it a prompt. This gives Groq a new identity and makes it focus on our business needs. Now you can use ChatGPT or Claude to generate for you a system prompt tailored for your business. Now we will have a list called chat history, which stores dictionaries. It has roles and content. There are 3 roles to consider. The system role, which has instructions for Groq. You can see here that we offered it the system prompt, which allows Groq to know what to do. There is also the user role, which tells Groq that this is the user's prompt to consider. And there's the assistant role, which stores Groq's response. And this history will be fed to Groq at each request. Now inside the generate response that takes the user input, we will start by assigning the user input to the chat history. And then we will use the client to create a request to the Groq model with the chat history as a message containing the user prompt, and we will wait for a response. Once we get a response, we will store it inside Groq reply variable and append to it the chat history as role of assistant, since this is the AI response, and then simply we'll return the response. Now we are ready to develop the Talk to Chatbot functionality. First, we need the imports to the functions we created, called transform prompt to vector and generate response. First, we'll transform the user's prompt into a vector using this function we created, and it will return for us the top 3 contexts similar to the user's prompt. Next, I created another functionality that will simply transform the list of tuples into a string containing at each line the content without their similarity score. I am doing this since the user prompt I want to feed it should contain the context and the user's real prompt below it. And this prompt is what will be given to Groq to return for us a response. So let's test this out. I asked Groq what is a function in Python, and it returned for me the answer I needed with code examples. So we can say that this chatbot is working properly. And there you have it. We just built a chatbot based on our needs. I will provide you with the code. Just check the link in the description or in the comment section for the GitHub repo where you can fetch the code and try it out on your own. If you like these kinds of videos, make sure to subscribe and stay up to date for the next video.